Hello everyone, Tasha here with my very first layout process video. Stick with me, it's gonna be jumpy and I hope to get better at this in the future. Let's jump right in. This is actually from the Big Picture Classes Sketch Solutions class. That's a lot to say, sorry. We're working with opposite orientation photos here. This is not normally the way I would treat opposite orientation photos, but I'm going with it. Using the Bundle of Joy Boy collection all throughout, the papers, the brads, the layered chipboard are all going to be from that collection. I'll tell you when something isn't from it. This particular paper is a scrap I had from a layout I've done in the past. It's called Pat a Cake. Now you saw me take a little sliver there off of the bottom. The pattern paper ended in white, and if I'm using a white cardstock background, I like to make sure I end in a color. To me, in my eye, it just works a little bit better that way. Trimming off the top there, I had originally put it in backwards and I realized I was going to lose my dark green strip there at the bottom. Well, not dark green, medium green strip there at the bottom. So I cut it from the top, and then I noticed I was a little short of what I wanted, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, but it overlaps the photos only the teeniest, tiniest bit, and in the end I make it work because I really wanted to go ahead and use this scrap up. I'm not good at using scraps, so this was my way to kind of redeem myself. That is, again, Bundle of Joy Boy, the layered chipboard. I think it says So Happy to Have You. These are the Ellie's Studio Little Snippets labels from the Serendipity collection, and I use that Happiness Found, but I don't end up using the label which I intended to use for the date, and you're going to see me move that all over the place. I try and try and try, and it just does not work. And here we have the brads from the same Echo Park collection. I'm going to go ahead and pick 3 because I do like working in threes. It kind of balances things out to me. 2, I'm going to use just the plain brads, and one of them actually has like a pattern paper backing. Of course, you don't have to use the pattern paper in there, and I really wish they didn't put it in there because that's just a way for them to fill up some of the space and not have to give you brads. I'd rather have the brads. But I went ahead and used it because it's there. Why not? I'm going to go ahead and start seeing how I might want to lay these things out. And only one of those pieces ends up in that exact same spot. Here we have the My Mind's Eye from the Sweetest Thing collection. That is the Bluebell portion of that collection. You know how they do 4 different collections in a collection? That particular sticker sheet is called Smile. I'm going to go through the 12 by 12 sticker sheets, both the elements and the alpha from that collection. And in the end, I think I only end up, well, I do use a few of the stickers. I shouldn't say anything yet. I'm not good about using the sticker sheets, so I'm trying to get a little bit better about that. And I needed some, I've noticed that everything is kind of having a lot of angles to it, kind of harsh angles. Everything's square, rectangular. Only the brads and that one little piece of pattern paper so far have any kind of a curve to it. And that is a really cute label sticker that says the word adorable with different colored hearts in between. And it's ever so slightly short, but I'll show you how I camouflage that in the end. And here I am inking everything in walnut stain distress ink, and I'm going to cut this out because it was so incredibly boring. But I ink everything, even down to the photos. Helps to give a little bit of a finished edge without having to mat them, in my opinion. I use a lot of adhesive. Like I said in my card video, I make no apologies for that. I don't want things to fall apart, and so far for me, they haven't. So it works. I'm going to get that as close to centered as I can. It's slightly off, but it's okay. Go ahead and get these photos down. If I have small photos, I like to pop them up on some pop dots, some kind of dimensional adhesive. 4x6s, not really a fan of doing that as much. Maybe if I do one out of a collection of several, but I couldn't figure out a way to make that work on this. And I actually don't use dimensional adhesive at all. That is rare for me doing with the layout. But I thought the title, my brads, and that layered chipboard piece in the end gave me enough dimension without me having to actually pop anything up. Let's see if that doily right there can kind of soften the edge of that oh so happy to have you chipboard piece. And that cherished helps soften as well. That first brad I picked was just a little too big. It was kind of, I'd have to move the doily sticker, and I didn't like that moved into a different spot. So in the end, I go with a small brad, and that I try to use that pattern paper piece. It doesn't work, so I actually punch a 3 by 3/4 inch circle out of one of the border stickers from that sticker sheet. It helps give me a little more dark color up there at the top. The only bad thing is in the end, now I don't have anything to balance it off at the bottom at this point. Now these two labels, there's two fonts right here, are from the 12x12 alpha sticker sheet. In the end, I don't use them, but I do use the word Nonna that's out there like that, which I believe is supposed to be pronounced Nona. That's not how we say it, so I'm just going to go ahead and say Nonna. Sorry if you know how it's supposed to be pronounced and it's wrong. The Nonna is from Webster's Pages Storyteller sticker sheet, alpha stickers. Really gorgeous font on those stickers. This is the journaling cards. Literally, that is what it's called. Journaling cards. Boy, they didn't go out of their way to get creative there. I needed something to give to kind of rest my title on, and I needed a place for some journaling. So this helps fulfill both purposes. And I'm still trying to get that alpha, and it's such a skinny font. There's really only a certain way to me that's easy to use, and I actually have used it on layout in the past. And it just doesn't work with this. It gets lost. It doesn't fill up the space the way I want it to. So I finally got the bright idea on here. I go ahead and start with the bottom cluster, where I take that same border strip that I used, punch the circle out for the top up there, mat that adorable sticker on it, and trim it out. And now it gives me something to balance out that dark brown at the top. Ink the edges. I ink the edges of everything when I ink, unless I forget. And like I said, it's ever so slightly short, so I figured I want it butted up against the photo so that I can actually take the brad and put it at the end to kind of cover up that gap. And I'm still trying to use that label, but it does not end up working for me. Everything is just too harsh there at the bottom. Everything is rectangular except for that brad, and the brad to me doesn't balance out all of that rectangular hard angles enough for me to justify keeping it, for keeping that label. So I finally give up on those stickers and pull out the thickers from the new Pebbles collection, special delivery boy. That is, the font is literally called Baby Boy. It is a powder blue color that has a darker blue text on it. Works great for my theme. The colors work really well, and they have a glitter on top that's not really a glitter. It kind of looks like they're sugared in the end. I tried stacking it at first, but that didn't work. I'm seeing if that word with will work, but I don't like the circular pattern to the labels or the letters. I'm still trying to get that label in there, and it's just not going to work. So I go to something else, seeing if I can use some of these letter stickers up. So I try to use You Love Grandma, but again, it's the same problem as before, and I hadn't figured it out at this point what was bugging me about this bottom cluster. But everything is just right angled, not working, too blocky. I needed something soft down there. So I try this. All of a sudden it dawns on me, maybe that's the problem. So I get the other doily sticker off that same smile sticker sheet from Sweetest Thing Blue Boy. Or Bluebell, sorry. Yeah, Bluebell. But I don't have anything that's rounded, that's sticking off my little square here to kind of balance that out, so I don't like it. And you're going to see me stick this brad. I'm going back up to the top because I can't figure out what it is at the bottom that's bugging me completely. You're going to see me stick this brad twice because I actually moved everything and in the end moved it back, but I didn't move it quite in the same place. There we go. Now that top little cluster is done, and I'm going to go ahead and work on my title while I think more about that bottom. Go ahead and take those word stickers off because they're not working for me. And finally, I figure out I need something softer, so I get that nice curvy label that says happy on it to kind of balance out there at the bottom. And that works. And that label sticker says tell me a story. So perfect for this page, it had to go. And since I have that curvy label now, I can kind of bring that out from the center of it, which make it make sense, and it kind of softens that harsh edge. And I knew I wanted to go with brown for the word with in my title, so I picked up these Jelly Bean Soup Alpha Beans. That particular color is called, let me look at my sheet, Braised Brown. Perfect little teeny tiny font. I love, love, love the Jelly Bean Soup fonts because you can kind of stick them in anywhere. They're tiny. And that works for me. So now I've got my journaling done. I'm going to go ahead and get that on the page. Glue my font in place. See, while I'm doing that, let's see. And I ended up taking it up a little bit farther than I had it in the first place. And I'm going to set the title kind of on the white portion instead of on the top of the 3x4 card where it's yellow. I'm going to kind of bring it onto that just a little bit more to take up a little more of that space. I didn't want a large gap between the journaling, top of the journaling, and the bottom of the title. Get everything glued in place. I'm using some Scotch Quick Dry there. These thickers, as much as I love, love, love them, the adhesive is pretty much non-existent on there. It's barely tacky and does not stay in place even a little bit. When you shift the paper slightly, they start to move around. Most of the time they can at least withstand moving, but this one definitely cannot. Start getting my Nonna on there. And the word with. About to wrap it up here. Did attempt to do some things later and it didn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, this is the roller date stamp, also from the Pebbles Special Delivery Collection, to get the date on there. And I always have to take a deep breath before I do this. I'm using Cup of Joe Shadow Ink. I'm always scared, oh, I'm going to have to redo the entire layout if this one thing goes wrong. But I don't. It works. Go ahead and get those last two brads in place. And I believe that's going to be it. These photos are, I think my son was right at 3 weeks, and his grandma, my mom, she loves reading stories, and that was something that she did with me a lot when I was little. I am an only child, so he's an only grandchild, and she was so excited to be able to read him a story. And in the end, that's it. So here's a nice little close-up of that top cluster, one of the second cluster, and an overview. Thank you so very much for watching, and I do hope to get a little bit better at this in the end.